الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبا القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. ما بعد, respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We continue in the second story within Surah Al-Kahf, which is an excellent story in relation to many areas. For we are able to learn about the concept of patience within the story. We are able to learn about the concept of knowledge of the unseen. We are able to also learn about the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala behind an action which we cannot necessarily see there and then. The story of Prophet Musa and Prophet Khidr in the Quran is seen by many as the defining point in Musa reaching his highest level. Not only has Musa trained under one prophet called Shu'aib, but now he goes to train under another prophet by the name of Khidr. We find that Nabi Musa's life goes through many stages, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we said, does not put one surah called Surah Musa. Rather, he puts, for example, the story of Prophet Musa in Surah Al-Kahf, Surah 28, or he puts it in Surah Al-Shu'ara, or he puts it in Surah Taha, or he puts it in Surah Al-Mu'min. Allah puts the story of Nabi Musa across the board in order that we are able to learn from a glimpse of each story. And therefore, it is the first time a person, when he thinks about it, to find that Prophet Musa's story is in Surah Al-Kahf. Normally you're associated, as I said, with Surah Al-Qasas, or Surah Al-Mu'min, or Surah Al-Shu'ara, but now here, in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah introduces us to Musa on his way towards meeting Khidr. Why? Because we find the idea was that the Quraysh should come to ask our Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Came and asked him, which scholar was Musa asked to go and seek? Or which scholar was Musa asked to go and follow? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals to him that the scholar is Prophet Khidr. And then he tells him the whole story for him to narrate to the Arabians. We find that the story, although not necessarily seen in the Bible or in the Old Testament, can be found as a story of the 11th century in ancient Jewish manuscripts. You can find it as a story where first related in the 11th century. It is pretty similar, although not exactly the same. If anyone wants exact details, I can give them. But it's not exactly the same as the story which we find within the Quran. See, Prophet Musa, for a moment in his life, thought he had more knowledge than all those around him. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Jibreel to go towards the Prophet Musa and to tell him, Musa, go and seek someone more knowledgeable than you. Nabi Musa didn't actually believe he had more knowledge. It just a thought came across his head that I'm probably the most knowledgeable person in this town. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala straight away wanted to show this concept of seeking knowledge from the cradle to the grave, which unfortunately is a concept which is not so much stated within our own community. Because I find in our own communities it seek knowledge from the cradle till about 35, when you've got a couple of kids, stop there. Whereas the reality is that if at 50, for example, you can't read Arabic and you've read the translation of the Quran your whole life, go and learn Arabic. If at 58 you don't know much about your imams, go and learn about your imams. Even if at 21, 24, 27, any of these ages you find that your knowledge is maybe not up to scratch in the real world. And what do I mean by the real world? The world where people are debating, the world where the school of Ahlul Bayt is being attacked. If you don't know how to defend the school of Ahlul Bayt, you have to change straight away. Here a prophet of God, who has spoken to God, who has been taught under another prophet called Shu'aib, who has fought Pharaoh, who has defeated the magicians, still Allah wants him to go and gain more knowledge. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Why is this important? Imagine at home, I tell my son or my daughter, go and seek knowledge. Go to the madrasa. The son or daughter will turn around to me and say, you've stopped reading for about 20 years, now you want me to go and gain knowledge. If your religion was so interesting, Dad, or if your religion was so interesting, Mom, you'd still be reading. But you've suddenly stopped. We've got a nice shelf at home. It's good for Maulana when Maulana comes. He thinks we've been reading a lot. The reality is the shelf hasn't been touched for years. And so therefore there's no way you're going to instill education into your children unless you yourself are seen to be reading or are seen to still be learning. A father or a mother who stops learning, do not expect their children to continue learning. The buzz just is not there. Because they will begin to ask questions why you have stopped learning. Therefore, Nabi Musa, when he is told that he has to go and seek knowledge, does he reply in a positive or negative way? Some people reply in a negative way. You know, I don't have time. Or I've reached old age. Like some people come and tell me, we've had thousands of majalis. Now it's the time for the youth to hear majalis. It's not the time for the youth to hear majalis. Who gave you the idea it's the time for the youth to hear majalis? It's time for you first to hear the majalis, then the youth. Because how do you know that everything in someone's majlis you've heard before? Every speaker has his unique style. Come and listen. And then you will see that probably most of the concepts you may not have recognized in the past. The idea is what? The idea is it's not a shame to continue seeking knowledge. Prophet says even if you have to go as far as China, go. If it means you're going to go and get knowledge to serve Ahlul Bayt, then go and learn. It's not a shame for a person to be, for example, 45 in a class of 18-year-olds. Maybe he missed out on that knowledge. Go and sit down and learn. All of us have to continue, and that's why Musa, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهِ Fatah can refer to what? Can refer either to a youth, or can refer to a friendship, or to someone who's serving you. And the person who was with him on his journey was Joshua, son of Nun. You see, Harun wasn't the wasi of Musa after Musa died, because after Musa, why? Because Harun had passed away before Musa. So Joshua, son of Nun, is the one who took command after Prophet Musa. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ I will not give up. Listen to what a keen student Prophet Musa is. He's a prophet of God. Does he have to continue learning? Knowledge never stops. Shaykh al-Tusi was once asked, when he used to go up on the minbar, and now you know your minbar here in Dar es Salaam, how many steps is it? 2 or 3. Normally the Arabic minbars are much higher. 5, 6, 7 steps up. Where you're scared, you take 1 step on the way down wrong, all the way. Isn't there that famous story about that person who once sat in minbar? Now this I've heard an East African story. About that person who once sat on the minbar, he's come to recite about the ghaibah of the Imam. So they switch the lights off, and by the time he's finished, they can't find him. So they think the person went into ghaibah with the Imam. It turns out that he's fallen at the bottom of the minbar. Well anyway, so you find Shaykh al-Tusi is asked by someone who says, who do you guys think you are? Sitting on a minbar that high while we have to sit on the ground. You think you have that much knowledge? Shaykh al-Tusi replied, no. If there was a minbar that was made for how much knowledge we did not have, it would reach the sky. How much knowledge we did not have, it would reach the sky. This small minbar is the knowledge we have. The knowledge we do not have, minbar has to go and reach the sky. So a person continues to learn. لِفَتَاهَ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. Here what do we find? We find, he says, until I reach the junction of the 2 seas. There's a difference of opinion. One says that it's the Sinai Peninsula, between the Gulf of Aqaba and the Gulf of Suez. That's the junction of the 2 seas. The Sinai Peninsula, the Gulf of Aqaba, Gulf of Suez, between there. Another says no, it's between where the Indian Ocean and the Red Sea come together. Okay, so there's 2 different opinions here. He says, أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. Even if I am going to continue going on and on and on. Huqban normally means even if I continue for 80 years, until I seek one bit of knowledge, which I need, which Allah has told me, that you're going to go and meet a man who has knowledge which you do not have. So he goes, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَجْمَعَ بَيْنَهُمَا نَسِيَا حُوتَهُمَا فَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ سَرَبًا. They had this fish which was going to be used as an indicator to tell them whether they've reached the position where Khidr is or no. The fish was going to point them to a place called Ayn al-Hayat, a place where life is given. But what happened was, this fish, Joshua son of Nun, leaves the fish has gone back into the sea at that place. But Joshua son of Nun, as we find here, Nabi Musa continues to say, فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَ قَالَ لِفَتَاهُ آتِنَا غَدَاءَنَا لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِنْ سَفَرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا. Joshua son of Nun, Nabi Musa says to him, I'm hungry, let's have some refreshments. Remember, this fish, they need to use it. It's meant to point to them. So he says, let's sit down and have some refreshments somewhere. This moment, Joshua son of Nun thinks about refreshments. He's thinking, where's the fish? قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيها إلا الشيطان. He says, Prophet Musa, would you believe that you know the fish which was meant to guide us? I had left it when I was on the rock, and I remembered that it went into the sea, but I forgot to tell you. He says, Shaitan is the one who made me forget. وَمَا أَنسَانِهَا إِلَّا الشَّيْطَانُ أَنْ أَذْكُرَهُ وَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ عَجَبًا. Here a question is asked, that a prophet, can Shaitan make him forget or no? And the way to reply, there's a couple of interesting discussions in the Quran on this area. If one looks, for example, in Surah 12, Surah to Yusuf, there's an interesting discussion about Shaitan and the effect. Surah to Yusuf, when Yusuf leaves the prison, one of the prisoners gets executed, true? The other one remains alive. He goes back to serve the king. The one who remains alive, Prophet Yusuf, wants him to go back to the king and ask the king, excuse me, there was someone in prison, he's a good man, why don't you let him leave prison? The verse in the Quran is a controversial one, because the way it's looked at is, some people say Shaitan affected Prophet Yusuf, and that Allah made him stay in prison extra because he asked other than Allah. I'm going to discuss this tonight on my lecture on Tawassul and Shafa'ah from the Quran. So here, what does it say? It says, وَقَالَ لِلَّذِي ظَنَّ أَنَّهُ نَاجٍ مِّنْهُمَا. He said to the one who he knew would be saved, اذْكُرْنِي عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ. Remember me with your Lord. فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانِ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ. Shaitan made him forget his Lord. فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. So he remained in prison for a number of years. Some people said, look, prophets of God are not ma'soom. Those who always come out and say ma'soom, ma'soom, ma'soom. Here is a clear prophet of God who is not ma'soom. Because Allah is saying himself, فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانِ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ. Shaitan made him forget his Lord. فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. So because of that, he stayed in prison. Now how do we reply? We reply by saying, we look at the verse before, so we can see the context. The word Rabb, does it only mean God, the master, or does it mean also a master at home? Rabb can mean the one who brought you up as well. In the verse just before it, when Nabi Yusuf is explaining what each one of them will do, he says, يَا صَاحِبَيَ السِّجْنِ أَمَّا أَحَدُكُمَا فَيَسْقِي رَبَّهُ خَمْرًا. As for one of you, he will press wine for his Lord. Which Lord? His king. Here the word Rabb is used in which context? Their Lord, as in their king. You know, sometimes you say, Lord Andrews, Lord Stephen. Does this mean God? No. Lord as in the higher authority. So then when Yusuf in the next verse says, وَقَالَ لِلَّذِي ظَنَّ أَنَّهُ نَاجٌ مِنْهُمَا اذْكُرْنِي عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ, remember me with your Lord, as in with your master. فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانِ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ, Shaitan made the prisoner forget to ask his master. We understand? فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ, so he remained in prison for a number of years. That's why one finds in the Quran, when we look at the verse, that Shaitan himself says that I cannot affect God's righteous servants. In Surah 38 verse 83, and this is a proof that if ever in the Quran you think Shaitan is affecting the Prophet of God, Shaitan himself says, I cannot make a Prophet of God sin. You see, the idea number one is, if you think a Prophet of God has sinned, ask first which world was he in. If he was in a world before we came to earth, it can't be a sin because there was no Sharia there. Those who say Adam was a sinner, within Islam some say it, and outside Islam. Within Islam and outside, we reply by saying what? Number one, there's a difference between the way the Bible looks at Adam and the Quran. In the Bible, Adam commits the sin and then is put on earth. In the Quran, Allah says, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, I am making a Khalifa for the earth. Then Adam's story is told about where he was. The Bible gives the impression that he sinned and he was expelled. The Quran says, we've already booked his ticket. Then we're gonna show him what? We're gonna show him, you know, when you get a job, for the first 2 weeks maybe they give you induction course to get you on the job training. They teach you that these are what you're gonna face in the job: the computer, keyboard, hardware, software, imports, exports. They give you on the job training. Every prophet of God, his on-the-job training was Adam's story. Did Adam have someone before him for on-the-job training? Adam was the induction course. And his induction course wasn't on the earth that we live, because the world that we live, it's called the world of taklif, the world of responsibility. In the world of responsibility there is halal, there is haram, there is makruh, there is mubah, there is wajib, there is mustahab. Why? Because there's a sharia. Where Adam was there a sharia? Was there a sharia in paradise or no? No. So if there isn't a sharia, can you commit a sin? No. When a person commits a sin, he commits a sin for 4 reasons. That's why when someone comes and tells me your prophets or your imams are not ma'soom, what is the basis of committing a sin? For a person to leave asma. Number 1, lust. Number 2, envy. Number 3, anger. Number 4, greed. Let's just take Ali as an example. Why would Ali lust over anything when he has Fatima? Why would he be envious of anyone when he is the cousin of the Prophet? Why would he be angry with anyone if Allah shows him as an imam? And why would he be greedy if Allah has made him the gate to the city of knowledge? To sin, you either go through lust, envy, anger or greed. 4 things. And the 5th thing is what? Shaitan himself says in the Quran, in Surah 38 verse 83. قَالَ فَبِعِزَّتِكَ لَأُغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. With your majesty. Look at how he speaks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember my point that some of us attack Shaitan, but Shaitan has sometimes more respect to Allah than we do. With your majesty, I will deceive many of them. إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. Except whom? Mukhlasin is different from mukhlasin. Mukhlasin means someone who's sincere. Mukhlas. Ikhlas. Ikhlas means what? That person is a very sincere person. All his niyyah is for Allah. Mukhlasin is different from mukhlasin. Mukhlasin means those who are free from the need to sin. Don't confuse the word mukhlas and mukhlas. I've heard people give tafseer and they say that shaitan will not affect God's sincere servants. Shaitan will not affect God's servants who are free from the need to sin. Our fourth Imam was once asked this question. Someone came to me and he said, "You Ahlul Bayt, can we take you as role models or no?" Why? He said, "You guys can't even sin. How am I meant to take you as a role model in my life when you can't even sin?" And sometimes we in the school of Ahlul Bayt, our followers have this major problem where they imagine Ahlul Bayt can't sin. When he asks him, Imam says, "No, that's not the case. We can sin, but we choose not to. We can sin, but we choose not to." So he said to him, "What do you mean?" He said to him, "If I ask you to walk in the street naked, would you or no?" Sorry, he says to him, "If I ask you to walk in the street naked, can you?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Would you?" He said, "No." "Can you?" "Yes, I can go and walk in the street naked. It's within my ability." "Would you?" "No." "Why?" He said, "Because obviously I have respect for the society around me. I'm not going to walk in the street naked." He says it's the same with us when we see a sin. We can commit the sin, but we would never, out of respect of the Lord that we love. Don't imagine when Allah gave you 12 heavenly stars on earth, that He gave them to you and thinks, "You know what, they can't take them as role models, why am I giving?" No. When Allah gives you Al Muhammad, it's because whatever you'll face in your life, one of them faced. Whatever you'll face. Name me one thing in your life which one of them doesn't face. Patience, they faced. A loss of life, they faced. Bad wife, they faced. Hassan ibn Ali, poisoned by his wife. So therefore you find in every area of our life, Ahlul Bayt are honored. But when we come to each of their names, that's where you take their example. Fifth Imam is called what? Muhammad or Baqir? Muhammad. Sixth Imam, Ja'far. Seventh, Musa. Eighth, Ali. Ninth, Muhammad. 10th, Ali. 11th, Hassan. Someone comes and tells me, "I know all this. Why are you telling me?" I want to tell them this because Baqir, Sadiq, Kazim, Rida, Jawad are not names. They are attributes. Baqir is the one who splits knowledge. Sadiq is the truthful. Kazim is the one who is patient at a time when he should be angry. Rida is the one who is pleased with wherever his Lord puts him. Whether I'm in Medina or in Iran, put me. I am pleased to serve. The idea is you take them as a role model in your life, that you take their attributes as role models. Ilm and ma'rifah are two completely different things. Ilm is to know his name is Muhammad ibn Ali al-Baqir. Ma'rifah is to use Baqir and become a Baqir. To use Sadiq and become a Sadiq. To use Kazim and become a Kazim. You know why Allah gave him the title Kazim? Because any other human being should be angry when Harun Rashid moves him from prison to prison. But he says, "I love Musa al-Kazim." Because Musa al-Kazim remained patient when he should have been angry. Or as the title of fourth Imam is not Ali, it's Zayn al-Abidin, that Allah says, on the day of judgment I will tell everyone, raise your head, for Zayn al-Abidin is walking across. The idea is what? That these are the titles. So shaitan cannot affect. So therefore, why does he say, فَأَنِّي نَسِيتُ الْحُوتَ وَمَا أَنْسَانِي إِلَّا الشَّيْطَانِ? The reason is that there are moments in our lives where we will forget. A prophet of God is like us. There are moments where you can forget. It doesn't mean that you committed a sin. I put something, I saw it go in the water, but I forgot to inform you at that moment. Maybe there's only 2 hours later, I come and inform you. So he's saying that beware, keep on saying A'udhu Billah Minash Shaitanir Rajim for your life, so that you don't forget. قَالَ ذَلِكَ مَا كُنَّا نَبْغِي. Is that the place where the fish was? That's the place we wanted. Because over there we will meet Khidr. فَارْتَدَّ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمْ قَصَصًا. They went back now in search. They found Prophet Khidr. Now the story sets off. فَوَجَدَا عَبْدًا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا آتَيْنَاهُ رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. فَوَجَدْنَا عَبْدًا. We find here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes forward and shows us here that the highest level the human being can reach is abd. Many people come and say the highest level can be seen in other places. No. Islam came to destroy the Arabian concept that the highest level, that the lowest level was abd. Because when Allah praises His Prophet, He says in Tashahhud, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. First level is abd, then you become. You have to pass that level of certitude. That's why even in Mi'raj Allah says Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdih. Praise be to the Lord who ascended His servant Muhammad. He didn't say Subhana alladhi asra nabiyih or rasulih or Muhammad. No. Subhana alladhi asra bi'abdih. The fact that Muhammad reached servitude was the highest level you could reach as a human being. That's why, for those of you who were not there, I mentioned in one of my lectures that when Prophet Musa went to Mount Sinai, he met one of the children of Israel on his way, who said to him, O Prophet Musa, when I've committed many sins, do you mind asking my Lord if He'd forgive me? When Musa said, no problem. When Musa went up to Sinai, he came back down and saw the person. The person looked at him, he said, Prophet, did you ask? He said, yes. Let me tell you. He said, my Lord said to me, tell my servant. The person said, stop there. So he replied to him, Nabi Musa said, don't you want me to tell you what your Lord said? He said, no, stop there. As long as my Lord has called me His abd, I don't care if He punishes me or forgives me now. Abd. فَوَجَدَ عَبْدًا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا آتَيْنَاهُ what? رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا. رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا could be 3 things. Number 1, prophethood. We gave him mercy from us. Could mean prophethood, or could mean long life, or could mean a breast vast enough to take knowledge of Allah. Rahmah is what? Could mean prophethood, nubuwwah. Could mean long life. Khidr is still living according to a hadith until today. They say, your Mahdi, how can he live so long? Khidr, Isa are all living until today. Why are you surprised with my Mahdi? Like one person said to me, what's the wisdom of your Mahdi being in a sirdab? You know sirdab, in the cellar. Tell him to come out. I replied, what's the wisdom of your Isa? Where is he? Person within Islam. I said, your Isa, what's he doing now? I haven't seen him. Where is he? What's the wisdom? He said, no, Allah has a wisdom in putting him in ghaib. And I said, Allah doesn't have wisdom in Mahdi. Number 3, a breast wide enough to take knowledge for prophethood. وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. Ilm ladunni is a different type of ilm to all other ilm. It is a direct knowledge given from Allah to His prophets. When the Quran says وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا, min ladunna means a direct communication. As we said, Allah communicates with a prophet through a dream, and with a Rasul through an angel. So we find, for example, with Ibrahim, you had Allah communicate to him through a dream of Ismail, and then later Allah communicated through angels when the angels came in the time of Prophet Lut as guests of Prophet Ibrahim. And therefore Quran comes to show us Nabi Musa's humility. قال له موسى هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. Beautiful. Nabi Musa comes and says to him, do you mind teaching me what you've been taught for development? Understand the beauty of the Quran here. Number one, Musa, his humility, comes to another prophet, can you teach me? But can you teach me ilm? For ilm is a wasila to reach Allah, not the end. Ilm is not the end. Ilm is a means of reaching the end. He says to him, and tu'allimani mimma ulimta rushda, to teach me a bit of what you've been taught for your development. Why? If ilm was if ilm is the end, then there isn't a second area to combine for a person to develop. How many have got ilm but no akhlaq? Many are knowledgeable in history. Does that mean that makes him a good human being? No. Ilm is a mean, but without akhlaq there's no point. Imam al-Khou'i, may Allah bless his soul, was the teacher of Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr, may Allah bless his soul. They both had their own circles in the Hawza. A person came to Imam al-Khou'i, said to him, Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr disagrees with some of your opinions. And he was your student. He disagrees with some of your opinions. He criticizes some of your opinions. In terms of what? In terms of whether the hadith says 8.8 milligrams of water or 8.917. Those types of opinions. Don't try and beat onto some other opinion. And so Imam al-Khou'i says, today is my best day. He said to him, why? He said, now I know that I have been a teacher who has given good students. Because if my students are free to criticize me, then I was a good teacher. See the akhlaq. With all his knowledge, the akhlaq came alongside it. That's why he even said about Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr. They said to him, what's the greatest thing you've done in your life? He said, I don't know, Imam al-Khou'i said. He said, Allah knows. But he says, there's one thing I know I'll be rewarded for, that Muhammad Baqir al-Sadr was my student. And that's why we find in our own life, whether you are an alim who sits on the minbar, or an alim who gave one lecture in his whole life, the thing people test the most is the akhlaq. And it's a constant battle with shaitan. For the ego tells you one thing, and Ahlul Bayt teach you another. In Iran, one of our scholars narrates a story about how his akhlaq was tested to the full. He says that he used to study in Qom. In the summer he'd want to go back to his parents, go back to Tehran, and go back to his parents, at least go and see them. He says, my teachers would never allow me to go. He says, I would always ask, I would always ask, I would always ask. They'd never allow me to go. He says, one teacher in particular used to say to me, I want you in this period when everyone goes back to stay with me. I want to teach you akhlaq. Akhlaq from some of these scholars cannot be written in a book. Sometimes you just got to watch them. He told them that one day someone will make you very angry, but your test will come there to see if all the knowledge you have is applied in your akhlaq or not. If I quote Ali ibn Abi Talib all the time, yet I do not follow him, what's the point? Quran says, why do you say what you do not do? So here what do we find? This alim says, when I went back to Tehran, he was in a village. He became the resident alim of the village. He says, you know, in a village, normally everyone has their set sleeping times. As in, like, the villages normally go quiet at about, let's just say 12 o'clock. Everyone wakes up at 6 o'clock, farming area and so on. He says, one night, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the door knocks on my house. He says, I'm thinking to myself, what's going on, the door knocking at 3 in the morning? It must be emergency. He says, I came down, I opened the door, and there was someone from the village. And he looked at me and he said, Maulana, Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. Maulana, how does human feces taste? Now if someone asked me this question 3 in the morning, you'll see what happens. 3 in the morning you want to ask me, how does human feces taste? Number 2, isn't that rude, you asking, how does human... But some people have got no manners when they ask questions. Don't worry about that. There are some people who ask questions as if he's fighting you. Hey, relax. If you want to debate the issue, I'll debate with you. It's no problem. But just relax, sit down, and we'll debate. But here in the same way, the person says to him, do you know what Maulana replied? Maulana said, I knew it clicked in my head, this was the test. So he said, I said to him, well, at the beginning it tastes sour, then it tastes sweet, then at the end it tastes bitter. He said, the young man looked. He said, what do you mean? Have you tasted it? He said, no. He said, now how do you know? He said, I judge by seeing how flies act around human feces. He said, in the beginning, when flies are there, they all swarm around it, so it must be a bit sour. Then they all go within it, so it must be quite sweet. Then they all die within it, so it must be bitter. He said, Maulana, this is the day I tested what you preach. All my life I wanted to ask, is what they preach also how they act? He said, I have come at 3 in the morning to ask the most stupid question, which no one can ask, rudest question, and you've replied to me with true manners of Ahlul Bayt. The idea is that Musa says, all I want is knowledge as a development to my greatness, not as the end. Too many today are there. That's for another time. قال إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. You don't have the patience to come with me. What? You don't have the patience to come with me. You, Prophet of God, defeats Fir'aun. You've spoken to God, but you don't have the patience to come with me. Sometimes a teacher is 2 types. One is condescending, where he is like, you can't be in this class, it's too high level for you. But others are straight to the point. Don't waste my time. They are more to the point of saying, look, if you're going to join my class, are you ready or no? Because it's not an easy class. He tells them, you don't have the patience to come with me. And then he replies to him, وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And how can you have patience anyway over something you don't know? Khidr is telling Musa. Musa replied, قَالَ سَتَجِدُنِي إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهِ صَابِرًا وَلَا أَعْصِي لَكَ أَمْرًا. Inshallah, you will find me. Listen to the akhlaq. Someone tells you, you don't have the patience. Would you reply with akhlaq? No. You would show impatience, but he shows him straight away, I have patience. قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا ولا أعصي لك أمرا. Nabi Khidr then tells him, okay, I'm going to tell you the condition on the application form if you want to join me. Gives him the application form, imagine. On the application form it says, قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرى. If you're going to follow me, you do not ask on a single thing about what you're going to see until I explain it to you. You don't ask. I'm going to show you some things which are hard to stomach. But don't ask a question. Watch, and you'll learn. You see, the beauty of this area is what? Is that for Allah to give someone ilm al-ghayb, because He's going to show him now. The person's first prerequisite is sabr. If I give Ali ibn Abi Talib knowledge that he will die on the 19th in the mosque of Kufa, and Ali tells Ibn Muljam that you're going to kill me, or Ali tells Ibn Muljam sleep properly, someone comes and says Ali or Hussein went towards the battleground where they were going to die, Allah had tested the patience of the son of Abu Talib before. He had seen that this was a man who didn't fear death. Number 2, found freedom in death.
Number 3 could be reunited with his Lord and his Prophet and his wife again. So death was a means to go back to happiness, not the end. So we'll discuss inshallah tomorrow in our final lecture about the idea which is what? Which is the 3 things Musa saw which taught him ilm al-ghayb. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.